Getting back and watching the film, again, very proud of our team, the way we were able to compete in the game. I thought we were able to make plays at critical times in the game, learning situations. Again, we're still a work in progress. I think we have a lot of things we have to work on, which I think most everybody in America does at this time, and I thought we would too. But very proud in certain areas. Other areas, we have improvement in offense, we have improvement in defense, we have improvement in special teams. We have to really work on, and again, to continue to build our depth, continue to build consistency in how we do things. But at the same time, I think we did a lot of good things. I think we were able to score 37 points in the game against a very good team. I think the team is well coached, well prepared, has played in a lot of big games, a lot of big venues. We had a chance up at 17-0. They battled right back, got right back in the ball game. And our kids, I thought, did a great job, even when momentum was against us, of still handling it and making plays to win the game, which is very rare. Usually when that big mo changes, it's hard to keep making plays. And we had certain guys who were able to do that across the board, offensively, defensively, that made critical plays at big moments in the game. But at the same time, we must play with much more consistency, and we know that. And even our experienced players, we got to play better. Some of our young guys get some opportunities in that avenue. But I'm very proud of the way we still competed in the game and found ways to win the football game and where we're at. So now we've got a great week against Citadel. Need to improve, need to look at everything we have and get much better and keep improving and keep getting better week by week, just like we did a year ago. Questions?
Jimbo, it seems like Mario Kinder, he had a really good game, 3 carries for 31 yards. Will he get more carries?
I think he will. And it was the game we wanted to give Carlos, wanted to get him lathered up because he had never really started the game either, and get him how to make touches in the game and got going, and then the game got tighter. But I was extremely pleased with the way Mario played. When the look on his eye on the sideline, I mean, you didn't see a guy who was in his first game. I mean, you saw a guy who was out there competing. Coach, okay, I'm out now. Coach, just very composed and poised and ran, and all the runs and touches in which he had, had one catch, I believe, and the 3 runs were very, very productive, and right reads, good runs. The guy's going to have a great career. And also, we're going to get Dalvin Cook. We had plans on getting Dalvin in there, and the game got kind of hairy, and we didn't. Probably could have got him in, but didn't. But we got to get him in that mix very quickly also.
Maybe somewhat unique for a player to stay committed to do what he needs to do. For a guy like Mario who had to wait for 2 years.
Let me tell you something. I am so proud of him. What he has overcome, what he has went through, from the things he had going on here, he had to overcome. Even in his personal life, he had issues that he couldn't control. That a lot of people. I mean, he overcame a lot. Has really grown as a human being. Like I've said before, he's a tremendously intelligent young man, great heart, good person, and what he has overcome to get to where he's at. I can't wait for him to have success. I really can't.
It seems like a lot of guys that would miss back-to-back years would transfer, kind of fall off the radar, lose motivation.
Says a lot about that guy's character now. I mean, there's a lot more inside that guy than people ever give credit for. We always see the outside, and we always see the different things that go on, but there's a lot to him inside. And to me, that's one of the things about college coaching that makes it very special.
Jimbo, some of the players after the game said they really look back and say they had a very good week of practice leading up to the game. They played how they practice. How will you approach them this week to get that?
That doesn't prove it. And that happened. We're a team who we play a lot like. Not that we have bad practices, but again, like you said in the game, there was great moments, but then there was inconsistent moments, and that's what we harped on all week last week. That I saw in practice, that I tried to point out that we weren't consistent enough. And like I said, you don't know what play changes a game, and until you lose a game, sometimes like that, you get that bitter taste, And I understand now. Hopefully, we learned that lesson now. And it wasn't like our practices were bad, but they weren't as consistent as we needed them to be. And I think that is a great point. And you play how you practice, because when pressure comes, your habits come straight to the surface. And that's what happened at certain times, good and bad, in that football game.
Was there a common thread between the situational things? Like usually you guys are so strong on third downs and red zone.
Well, third down, if you go back and look at it, as I researched it, the third makeables we were pretty good at, except for once or twice. As we got behind the sticks on first down on a couple times. Like down there, we hit that big pass to Rashad, first drive of the second half. We run the first run, and we throw a whiff block on the left tackle. They get a 6-yard loss at 2nd and 16, miss a screen, 3rd and 16. Instead of going for one there, I say, let me get 6 more yards, get the ball in the middle of the field, kick a field goal, get up 2 scores. Because the odds of making it, and we had a turnover down there on the one before. And the first one on the interception, if you go back and look, we dropped the ball in the flat on the first play. It would have been a 6-yard gain. Your 2nd and 4, it's a different dynamic. And on 2nd down, we run a route 2 steps short, Jameis hurries the throw, which he still should make. We hit Rashad. He's going to score, get to the first down. So now we're 3rd and 10. Then we try to get just a hair green. A guy hits with his finger. I mean, if we went back and we researched all of our 3rd downs, which I say 3rd down is critical, but 1st down is just as critical. We're not putting ourselves in position, and 3rd and makeables at times was just as critical. But you're exactly right. I mean, and we've been a great third. We led the country in 3rd downs a year ago, but they were makeable 3rd downs. And that's the thing we got to do a better job of, not having a couple negative plays in situations that put us in bad situations.
Coach, once you go back and look at film, it usually gives you a chance, and it kind of changes your mind on some of the things,
No doubt.
your initial thoughts, good and bad.
Again, things are never as good as they seem. They're never as bad as they seem. And, you know, defensively, when they started moving the football, very similar to what we did last year. If you remember early in the year last year, even Timmy, as crazy as it sounds, we were so aggressive trying to make plays, we didn't stay in gaps. And that happened, and once we early in the first 2 or 3, 4 drives we did, then we got momentum, and all of a sudden, and it was a D tackle, it was a nose, it was a backer, I mean, it wasn't just one guy. They're in the gap control, we're sound, they ain't got nowhere to go. And all of a sudden, the guy says, I'm going to make that play. So he snatches his guy and goes over here, and all of a sudden, it's a little seam, and it cuts back for 5 yards. And it was just, you'd rather say whoa than giddy up. It's not being this greedy, but it's wanting to make a play, but you got to understand, I got to stay gap controlled. And there would have been a lot of those plays that wouldn't have came out. And that's things if you remember at the beginning of last year, little nickel and dime things, first 3 or 4 games that guys had to get themselves back in that disciplined role of doing it right, and playing, because you did it right. Again, I say it all the time, don't get bored. Don't get bored with doing your job and making the smart play. Because sometimes we want to make big plays, make the smart play. And then the big plays come from making smart plays. And I think that was across the board, offense and defense, like running the ball. I thought we'd have 4 guys block, 1 guy miss a block. And which is usually, I always say, you always have to have all 5 or the back or the tight, all those type things together. And it was a lot of those things, which is typical of a first game, but, we can't accept. And we got to work on that.
Overall, how did you think the offensive line played? Okay, good?
I thought we pass probed really well. I thought run blocking, I don't think we was as physical as we needed to be, and they would say that same thing, you know what I mean? And which was very rare. I thought Trey Jackson played the best by far of the guys up front. Thought he played really well. I thought Nick O'Leary blocked really well. And I think Freddie did a pretty nice job at fullback, but we didn't play up to our potential at the other spots. But we played well enough to create space and make plays, but not up to our potential.
How did the 4 down in passing situations?
I'm sorry.
The defensive line in passing situations?
At times good because the way we match routes, that's what everybody talks about sacks around. When you start running up the field, if you're a zone, you match routes, which turns into man coverage, you got to have great gap control in your rush. And at times we were good. I think we got good pressure at times. We collapsed it. And then a couple times we got out of our lanes and you saw him scramble and break up through there. And that's one of the things about, you can't just go running for a sack. You got to keep a guy in the pocket in our rush lanes. We did for the most job, do a pretty decent job there. And a couple times we got out of that and he got a couple scrambles.
Did you see anything in practice that might lead you to think the run blocking will
No.
be it?
Again, it's just that one of the guys, there'd be 4 of them on this play and it'd be a different guy each time. And that's just the way it goes. I mean, you got to have that harmony. You got to have that chemistry. And I thought they played very physical and very tough. I mean, I thought their backers, and again, while we were able to get some big plays, though, they had their safeties. I mean, those safeties were triggering and getting 8 and sometimes 9 guys to the box. And that's why we were able to hit. I mean, we threw for 370 yards. We hit a lot of post routes. We hit a lot of over routes. We had a lot of big plays in the game throughout the passing game. And that's, if they're going to stop the run, then it gives up the posts and the overplays at which we got. So, I mean, it's people, and that's how you got to play.
How do you think Carlos did looking back at film in his first game as that?
Solid. I think his pass pros were good. His runs, for the most part, a couple runs cut back a little too quick at times. Caught the ball well out of the backfield. Got to work on a couple routes, get a little more depth on a route or two here and there. But I thought he had a very solid performance. I thought he ran hard and physical. Thought he ran the ball hard.
Usually guys never had that many carries before. But
No, he had 23 carries. I think he had 26 touches in the game.
Did he get better as the game went on? Did you see that?
I think he did. And like I say, he's only going to get better if you keep blocking better. But at the end of the game, you say we were able to take the ball, which is very critical. One of the things I was proud of in the last, as I say, what we call 4-minute offense. When we got the ball back after the onside kick, we were able to convert 2 first downs and eat the clock up and put that game away and never let them touch the ball. So we did run the ball in and make first downs when we had to make them there.
How impressed were you with that time management? I mean, you guys practice it a lot, obviously.
We spend a lot of time in time management now. I mean, a lot. And I've still got to get an interp on this rule. I mean, I do, and I don't say that. Because that really bothered. I mean, should have been my choice to be able to take the 10-second penalty or let the 40-second clock when they stopped it with 25 seconds. I don't. That's a hole in the rule that needs to be fixed if it does. I need to. And it may be right. I'm not saying it's not right. I just got an interp in that because that made us have to adjust and throw the ball. We would, because otherwise it was 42 seconds, I think, and then it was 40. We'd had the ball. We'd have taken a delay with 2 seconds, then ran a play, and the game would have been over. And so from that standpoint, that's a critical thing we got to work on. But we've been able to manage the clock, take it all the way down, snap it with the right amount of time on the clock, get lined up, and still be able to execute and get first downs. And you never let them touch the ball again. I was very proud of that from us.
It seemed like a lot of times Oklahoma State would line up, but then bring their safeties up as the ball snapped or something like that. Was Jameis able to?
He did. He get the ball out. He did a good job. In the run checks, he had 1 or 2 that I'll question, just, which is about normal for a game. I mean, there's a lot when you make 75 decisions in a game, there's a couple that you'll usually say, well, I wish you could have done that. But he was not, from that standpoint, was good.
Were you pleased with the way Jameis distributed the ball? I know Rashad got a lot of targets.
He did get targeted a lot, but it was weird. We move Rashad around a lot, which we do in the past, and the coverage just dictated. But we did. I mean, Pops made some plays. Kermit had 3 third-down catches, if I'm not mistaken, that were very critical. The backs caught the ball out of the backfield. We had Nick got 3 balls. We had Nick targeted a couple more times. I thought he could have gotten the ball a few more times, 5 or 6 times. But and we'll keep targeting him. And we did get it distributed around very well. I mean, but Rashad made plays when he had to make plays.
Rashad also drew a couple pass interference calls, but he could have maybe.
He could have had a real day. I mean, at the end, that's when they put 11 guys in the box when we were trying to run the ball out, and that's why I said, hey, we got him one-on-one. It's worth a shot. And so we went at it, and thought it might have been one more.
During camp, you talked about just going back and seeing where your team was at that point last year. With this game, I mean, when you look at the wide receivers, I mean, after the first game, did you feel more comfortable with, Kenny and
Well, you feel more comfortable with Kenny and KB because they played more football. I mean, at that time, and had done a great job. But right now, again, I'm very pleased, and because I was pleased because Kermit, a couple of his breaks were blitz reads that he snapped routes off. And I mean, that a lot of times doesn't come from a guy who starts his first game. A lot of times, those are the things that you blow. You know what I'm saying? And screw up. And he did a really nice job a couple times of snapping routes off and letting Jameis get the ball out when we had unblocked people coming in, which is very rare for young guys to do that. That's where Kermit has really grown in his maturity. I thought Christian Green with a couple big plays down the field, from that regard. So I'm not unhappy. And we will, Bobo will be back in the mix this week too. So we'll get Bobo back in the mix this week also.
How much does that help?
How much does that help getting Bobo back? Well, I'm hopeful we'll see, but I think it does. I thought Bobo had a great camp, and that's why, we'll get him back. And we had no plans on, had no plans on playing him before. And with our plan, he's done everything we've asked him to do, and he's doing everything. Been very mature about how he handled things. And like I said, I think sometimes taking a guy to a game, making him have to sit there is a lot worse than leaving him at home. And just the joy of having to go out there and watch your teammates when you could be part of it. I think it's very critical that how much people depend and count on you.
What did you see? I don't remember you calling a ton of quarterback draws last year, especially near the end. What did you see before that snap?
How they were matching routes. Again, like at times different. When you see people match routes, what that means, they're really bracketing down. It's like a man. It's like, as I guess Syracuse plays, matchup zone. A lot of people play matchup zone, but really man everything and match all the routes. Well, then when you don't rush and discipline lanes, when that quarterback breaks, it can be big plays. And then we had that mixed in, and we saw some things there, and we thought it was the right time to be able to pop it out of there.
Looking back on film, a lot of guys had to contribute to that play.
Oh, it was
your quarterback was making.
And you see Josue making a block 30 yards down the field, then he jumps, about got kicked in the head. He got his head back down and did that. But it was well blocked up front, and the routes were run full speed outside, so we could do what we had to do and draw the guys out of there. It was one of the things that we executed. It was one of the plays we executed very well.
Oklahoma State stacked in the box. Is that a product of them testing the passing game?
That's what they were. I don't know. I think that's what they do. They were a stacked quarters team. We knew that going in. That's their defense. And when you play quarters, that means both safeties usually play anywhere from 7 to 9 yards off that line of scrimmage, and they trigger and get downhill. And that's what some people do.
You guys had a lot of corner blitzes. Was that something specifically for OK State, or it's just?
We got a lot of corner blitzes too. They did us a lot of corner blitzes, but no, that's just a part of our game plan. I mean, that's just always in our repertoire, and we did a lot of them last year. So a lot of times people think blitzes are sack the quarterback. Corner blitzes and a lot of them are run blitzes. They give you an extra gap, let a lineman slant inside, let a guy take a chance, and you bounce things, and now he becomes the container, the edge of the defense.
Looking forward to seeing some young defensive linemen get some action this week.
We kept a four-man rotation in there with Desmond and Derek. I thought Derek played really well in the game. I really did. I thought he did some real nice things in the game. Niall and Eddie inside there, and moved Mario inside at times, and moved the other guys outside. So they were the outside backer D-end group. We played quite a few guys there, and hopefully we'll get some of those guys in. We got to play well. Before we go putting everybody in the game, we need to play well and take care of our business.
TJ after the game compared it to the Boston College game last year and said that was the first real game last year where you guys understood we have to play hard the entire game to have success and play how we want. Do you compare it to that, or is it different?
No, I don't think it's different. I think I think it was a very good team. I don't think we didn't play hard. I think you understand you have to understand how important it is to play consistent and disciplined every play. That you can't be just a gap outside. Because when you play good people, every little thing you do, you can't play tight, but every little thing gets taken advantage of. I mean, you go back, that team has never won less than 8 games since he's been there. They won 41 games. They're used to winning. They're used to playing. They're used to playing Texas and Oklahoma and big bowl games and playing in big venues. That team is going to compete. And I think what you got to understand is everybody's going to compete. And you have to, the importance of repeating performance and not getting bored, not saying, well, this time I'm going to try this. What am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to do it? When am I supposed to do it? Do it that way. And I think that, as much as anything, is the lessons we have to learn. But give them credit. Sorry?
Who are some of the guys defensively that you thought played really
I thought Terrence Smith played really well. I thought PJ played well. Even though, and I thought he, from coming off an injury and playing and with limited practice time, made some plays, made critical, caused a fumble, made a play. PJ always seems to come up with those big plays. Jalen Ramsey had a lot of tackles. I think he did some things well at times, but he's got to get better in some things. But he's emerging. I thought Mario Edwards played well. Terrence Smith, I thought, against that played really well. But Nate made a big play or two, but we got to play more consistent in things we do. We got a couple silly taunting penalties. Can't have that. I mean, that was big. That was big plays in keeping drives alive, and things that happen. That's something that we haven't done, and we're not going to do anymore.
Is PJ's hamstring up there? You give him a day off? Or
Well, yeah, we'll look at it. May rest or see. We'll see what's going on, but may give him a day. We'll just wait to see how the trainer comes up with it. But I was very proud of the way he competed in that football game.
Did you give an explanation on the taunting penalty, specifically when Nate didn't seem, from our perspective, particularly?
No, but he said he looked over and did this. So, man, it's like the policeman. You're going 2 miles over the speed limit. If he says you're speeding, you're speeding. Yes, sir, and you move on. You got to play by the rules, and that's what one of the things it's why sometimes I am hard on our guys, because you know what? Whoever's in charge sets the rules. It's your job to say yes, sir, and move on and play by the rules. And I don't think he did it to try to showboat, or he was excited, but not allowed to do that, so don't do it.
And it seemed like Eddie, they were going back and forth a little bit.
And I don't disagree with you on that one a little bit. But, I'm not that it was wrong, but hey, the man called it. That's the rule. Then, you know what? Don't do it. Don't put yourself in that situation. I mean, because that's what I keep saying. It's such a team game. 10 guys be right, 1 guy be wrong. My personal pride cannot ever override the team's well-being. Can't happen. No matter what. You swallow it for what's best for this team. And it's a learning. I don't think there was any ill will or bad guys from doing it. And it's human nature. There's a lot of testosterone flying around out there. That is, I wish they could understand that too. If it was blatant, yes. If it's not, but that's what they say. Don't do it.
After the Rashad touchdown, did you think about going for 2 to go up by?
No, I didn't. I don't want to say 13 and plus because it was almost 4 minutes to go, 5 minutes to go right there. And then I said, if we get another field goal, it'd be 16. I didn't think the chance of doing it right then and going 12.
And on that play, Rashad said that Jameis intentionally threw it kind of behind him to spin him out of the defender.
Anytime you throw the ball, see, anybody can throw the ball outside the hashes. But it talks about the strong arm to throw the comeback and all that stuff. That's great. There's usually not a lot of reading going on. Usually one guy, you're going up and over, you got a lane, you stick a ball in there. When you throw the ball between the hasses, when you know how to throw the football. That's what matters. That's where decisions are. That's where timing. That's where lanes. That's where rhythm. And that's where trust is built. That you know what? When you throw the ball in the front number, you know what that quarterback's telling me? Accelerate through the football. There's nobody there. All right? So, and because if the quarterback does that about twice and all of a sudden that guy gets his head knocked off, guess what? He ain't going in there no more. So if he's running, he's saying, he throws on the back number, he's telling me somebody's in front of me, I should always spin, and I got room behind me, that should tell me I'm spinning inside out and taking the ball out the back gate. If he throws it between my numbers, that's telling me I'm bracketed, I should catch it, cuddle up, get ready to get hit on both sides. They're accuracy, and that's what they're taught, that's how they're done, and that's the rhythm and timing it takes over time to get like that. And that's the trust, that's how those plays are made. So a guy can have me cut off, I can throw it back number, spin out and go. Now it takes a lot of work and time, but that's how we do it. And when you throw inside between, if you want a guy to go inside and be dependable for you to go into holes, you have to not hang him out. And that's what we spend a lot of time on.
Azure back this week?
We'll see. Again, that's something I can't, we're waiting for further.
Much of an adjustment when you guys
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, yeah, there's no doubt it is. I mean, because he's an excellent player and a great young man, had a great camp.
Jimbo, before halftime, it seems like Sean Green was held in the crossing pattern. What did you tell Winston?
He did. That was one, it was a little dig route and coming back inside, I thought. But, hey, that guy didn't call it, he didn't call it. Just, you got to keep it. If you see the lane, keep throwing the football. We'll get the calls or, get it. 'Cause again, we had a couple down the field they did call, which was good in critical situations. But, that's a game. No, it's like you don't ever call a perfect game as a coach. You don't ever play a perfect game as a player. We can't ask an official to call a perfect game either. I mean, those guys are human. They see things. They don't see things. I mean, that's the game. That's what makes sports fun. And what would you be arguing about or talking about on the talk shows?
Can you give a couple guys under the weather if they're just talking about battle on the bug or something?
Nah, they weren't bad. I mean, ain't no such thing as a bug when it's game time.
Maybe the pressure of number one got to them a little bit. The result on Saturday, does that intensify the pressure, or does it?
No, I think folks realize, man, let's just go play this game. Let's go play. Let's go have fun. Let's go execute. Let's go do the things we got to do. Quit worrying about, and from a lack of, I don't mean this in a bad way, what you think, what the fan. Let's just go play good football. You write what you write. You do what you write. You guys do your job. You write what you see. Give you guys some good things to see. Give you some consistent things to see. That's what I tell them. Don't worry about. Last year we didn't care about being number one. We cared about playing well. And I'm not saying we are this year. I think but you got to remind yourself, just go play good football. If good football is played, again, go back. If the process is right, the results will come. If we're worried about the results, we won't get the results. Make no mistake about it.
Was it different chasing? I don't want to say chasing that number one, but I don't think you guys were number one until the end of the season.
Hopefully we're still chasing it. That's the point I'm trying to get across.
Tom D'Angelo, you want to go?
Yes, hey, Jimbo.
Hey, Tom, how you doing, buddy?
Okay. Jimbo, the inconsistent practices last week, is that something that's typical that time of the season? Just
Can be. It can be typical at any time of the season. And they weren't inconsistent. I mean, those guys hear me because I ride on them. I mean, we had good practices, but I saw little chunks where there'd be a 3 or 4 play series, which we would do things that aren't characteristic of how we'd played the other 15 plays. And you say, listen, you can't allow that to sink in. You know what I'm saying? And I think sometimes it can because you want to play another opponent. You're tired of practice. You're tired of this. But you know what? Every team in America is. You got to get ready to play every week, the laser focus. And you got to learn that in each team. Even though we said we did it last year, do it again. Each team, each year. Think about this. When you have a routine when you write. Is that right, Tom? Getting ready for football season and everything?
okay.
Do you ever take part of it for granted? Say, oh, I forgot that, and do it a day before when you used to do it a week before? Have you ever done that?
Yeah.
Exactly. And I mean, sometimes players do what I'm saying. My point is players do that. So, I mean, they think they are, but, at times, well, I've done this, and as a coach, that's your job. That's why you got to keep pointing it out, and you got to, and hopefully that's a lesson we learned, that we got to have every play of every practice. Because it goes back to my thing, I say this, don't practice till you do it right. Practice till you can't do it wrong. Because what that means is that every time I do it the right way, and I create a habit. Does that make any sense, Tom?
Yeah, and I think the next question to that is the best thing that came out of that is them recognizing it after the game?
No doubt. No doubt. I think it is now. The best thing is, what do we do when we come to practice today? Thank you. And I don't make it out like we had terrible practices, guys, but I mean, you know, 3 or 4 plays can, I mean, tell me what play changed. I got to tell them. All right, you get 70 plays of offense, 70 plays of defense, 40 plays, there's 180 plays. Tell me the 2 or 3 plays that are going to make a difference in the game. And we'll let the rest of them go and we'll play those. I don't know. I mean, we don't know. That's what changes it. And, you know, that's the things that we got to, every play. That's why we coach. That's why they play.
I know you said the offensive line didn't play up to their potential, but what would it really take for you to see from them, for you to, I mean, you said you have some of these guys that you feel like could step in, and they all ready to play. What would it take for you to actually mess with that chemistry on the
Well, I don't think, also, it's because they still played well, but I'm not going, if because you make one mistake, you don't get yanked out there either. You can't play with a hook looking over your shoulder that every time I make a mistake, I get yanked out there. Now, you know, consistently over a period of time, and the things that be something that be detrimental to the team, or that we feel somebody else could definitely step in and make it that. But we're far from that. Far from that.
How do you decide, especially with defensive linemen, when you need to rotate guys in and out, and when you just let?
Well, we have set plays and how each guy's practice and where his performance levels peak at, you know, and also by him. I mean, how he feels or if he needs a break or what goes on. And the amount of time and how much confidence you have in your backups in these critical situations. And you see, that was a different game. In a big-time environment, atmosphere, first game, sometimes you're more reluctant at any position because you want to experience matters. Experience matters in big-time situations like that.
This is maybe one reason why you're not a huge fan of playing a quality opponent in a situation like this in the very first game.
Well, I mean, that's one of the downsides. I mean, it's great for college football. It's great to find it. And I'm not against it. I don't mind it. But, I mean, I think sometimes it can catch you on years that really expose you. You know what I mean? It doesn't necessarily dictate what kind of team you have. I think you got to be very careful in those situations. But, hey, everybody's in the same boat.
Jim, a lot of the guys said it was a wake-up call after the game, but what are you going to be looking forward to make sure they really do take it as a wake-up call, not just saying?
Your actions speak so loud I can't hear what you're saying. What they do.
Is it really that consistency in practice? Or is it
Exactly right. That's the way we've been around here. When we focus and like that. And you got to remember, we've got more young guys in that 2 deep than we've ever had. And again, there's a difference between being a talented athlete and player and being a good football player. The team with the most talent doesn't always win. It's a team who plays the best. And the best 11 who play together. And that's consistency. And you have to learn to play football, not just be an athlete and rely on athletic ability. Athletic ability can save you a lot of times. But eventually, if you don't learn to quit the critical mistakes and play consistent football, like I always tell them, play as if you had no talent. Play as if you're the least talented guy on the team. You got to do everything right to get my attention with your toughness, your effort, your discipline, and how you play. You play that way. And that because you know that's the only way you're getting on the field. Guess what? Then when I do that and I got great ability, now I got a great player. Till I do that, I'll never have a great player.
Were the coverage breakdowns one guy or
On the long pass?
No, I'm sorry, kick coverage. I'm sorry.
Oh, well, no. It was cool. Well, and we didn't kick the ball very well. We didn't get the hang times and the depth. I mean, that was one of the Roberto kicked his field goals excellently. His kick, see, here's another thing. Our special teams let us down. People don't realize how good we've been on special teams around here. And those first 2 kickoffs, we got on the 18, we held them 3 and out, got a punt, drove down, got a point. Held the next one, tackled them on the 3, got a turnover, got 10 points. All right, then we get another good cover, punt. We hit the big play down to, got good field position, we be aggressive. We hit pops on a great play. We turned it over in the red zone, but we moved it. All right, then we get the ball backfield, score 17-0. Now we got to put your foot, we give them a big return. They get out to 30-35. Now they get a little momentum. Now they get a score. You know what I mean? We had a couple guys in lanes get out of lanes on different sides. And then we didn't kick the ball with the height and depth that we normally kick it with. And that's just didn't hit kickoff. But field goal is great. I mean, and that's something we'll just continue to work on. Because that's something we've been really good on around here.
How about the long passages?
I'm sorry?
The breakdown.
Breakdown in communication. Yes. It was just breakdown in communication in the secondary. When you have a 2-man in a bubble, you play it one way. When it's a 3-man, you got to do it a different way. And a guy played it like a 2-man deal.
So when you debuted in the uniforms, what did you think of that?
I was really watching the players. I was watching the other team. I mean, they looked nice, I guess. The kids liked them. They liked the white jerseys and white pants, and it was good. I don't have anything problem with them.
The 15-yard unnecessary conduct penalty on Goldman, it seemed like he turned the game a little bit because he was able to kick a field goal.
It did. It got him down to that. Was a critical one too. Again, that's the one that, again, you can't do it. I thought they were both kind of. I didn't think it was a real shot, but hey, the man called it. It is what it is. So, again, those are things that we can't let our, again, what I'm talking about, can't let our personal pride ever override team's well-being. Every day in practice. When they do it in practice, well, sometimes you hear me go off out there. It's things like that things like that are what set me off. Continue to make a mistake consistently, or to do something that is detrimental to your team based off your own. It's not selfishness, but aggression and things that we just if you don't address them that way at a time when most guys are at a high emotional pitch, it never comes across very well. You know what I mean? Because they take it for granted, they blow it up. They got to understand how important, and I want them to understand how important it is to me, because how important it will be, because you'll hate yourself the next day when you make one of those plays that cost your team a game. I promise you. I've been around guys and been in situations, we've all played ball long enough to wake up that next day and say, why would I do that? That is so self, you know what I'm saying? And it's not meant from in the time, it's not ill will, it's not ill intent, it's just, physical game, you just can't do it.
Jimbo, going back to that Jameis touchdown run, it seems like we forget he's got some athleticism.
Oh, guy, see what you don't realize about him, because we get enamored by little quick guys. The guy covers, you got to remember, he's 6'4", 230, 35 pounds, that how much ground he covers when he runs. And he is very mobile in the pocket, and he's a great athlete. And then when he strides and gets striding, it may not look like he's running fast, but he can run. I mean, he can really run. You don't realize how much ground he's covering.
Did that play wow you looking back on it on film?
No, not really.
All right.
I've seen him run around, do some things in practice. I mean, it was great. I don't mean to minimize it. I thought it was a great run. There's not anything I didn't think he couldn't do.
It take more than one person to bring him down.
Well, he's strong. You got to remember, a guy 230 pounds. You're 230 now. I mean, you talk about tailbacks, he's 230. Well, how about a quarterback? He's 230. That makes it hard to get on the ground, too.